I'm just too stressed out. I can't do this today. Do you ever find yourself saying that every day? You wake up more tired than when you went to bed, and you constantly feel overwhelmed and have problems concentrating. People all over the world are constantly dealing with stress, and when that stress just does not subside, it can turn into depression. However, for something so relevant in our world today, we do not take either one seriously. In fact, we put a stigma on mental health and make people feel ashamed for experiencing any type of symptoms relating to mental health. Stress and depression are the two biggest issues we have in today's world. As stated in an article on the NCPAD website, depression affects 4% of the world's population. That's roughly 308 million people. And Stress.org states that 77% of people have reported regularly experiencing physical symptoms of stress. 73% of people have reported regularly experiencing psychological symptoms of stress. And 33% of people feel that they are living with extreme stress. Now, stress is how the body and the brain respond to any demand. It's actually considered a defense mechanism. Hormones are released, and it increases brain activity, raises pulse, and causes muscle tension. Now, common signs of stress include trouble sleeping, feeling overwhelmed, problems concentrating, and feeling nervous, anxious, angry, or irritable. Now, as your stress response goes on for too long or becomes chronic, it could lead to serious health issues. Your body can suppress the immune, digestive, sleep, and reproductive systems, causing them to eventually stop working altogether. And when this happens, you become at risk for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, and depression. Over the past decade, the prevalence of depression has increased by 18.4%. Now, depression does have multiple origins, but the most impactful origin is that from chronic stress. Common signs of depression include withdrawal, feeling hopeless and sad, lack of energy, sleeping or eating more or less, and thoughts of suicide. In fact, according to the NCPAD website's article on why depression should be taken seriously, 800,000 people die from suicide a year worldwide. 800,000 people. This brings us to the question, why do we not take stress and depression seriously? The biggest reason why is because of that stigma we have assigned to mental health. That people who have or show signs of having mental health issues aren't actually considered sick. Rather, they are considered weak for just not getting over it. Because of the stigma, it causes people to downplay their symptoms and suffer in silence. It also causes our employers to treat it differently. Because employers don't consider stress and depression an actual illness, they do not provide adequate accommodations for people who are suffering through it. In fact, we are just now starting to hear about mental health days, but what actual employer considers this a good reason to take a sick day? None. 150% of people have reported regularly experiencing either psychological symptoms or physical symptoms of stress. 33% of people feel that they are living with extreme stress. 4% of the world's population is affected by depression, and the depression prevalence in today's world has increased by 18.4%. But we are still not taking it seriously. Why? What does it have to take for us as a society to get rid of that stigma and to actually start doing something about this? Does 100,000 people need to die? Does over the next decade, the depression prevalence need to increase again another 18.4%? Getting help on managing stress and getting help for depression are very easy steps to take. But we cannot take those steps alone. We need support. We need support from our employers. We need support from our fellow people. But that can only happen if we as a society come together and start taking stress and depression seriously. Thank you.